Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you, Bridget. Welcome to the next in our series of virtual classes brought to you by the Smithville Area Chamber of Commerce and the Smithville Public Library. These classes are designed to help small businesses be able to learn how to cope through some of the COVID closures and COVID experiences that we're having and still help your business to thrive. It comes to us with funding from the Texas Institute for Museum and Library Services through the Texas State Library and Archives Commission, and made possible by the activity of the Smithville Area Chamber of Commerce. So we're really grateful to have them operate these classes and also to make them available on their website and on their Facebook page, as well as the library Facebook page. The links to the recorded classes are there, and you can watch the whole series that has been going on. And today's class is wonderful. I'm going to let Sarah introduce it, but she's going to talk to us about doing business abundantly and why your mindset matters. So Sarah O'Brien, if you want to introduce yourself and all the things that you bring to our community, both virtual and in person. So take it away, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Judy. I'm Sarah O'Brien. I live right here in Smithville, Texas. I'm in a 20-year local government and community development revitalization veteran, I guess is the word I was looking for. And I'm just as tired as everybody else. I know that there is a lot going on in our world today. So I just want to preface that, all of our mindsets, I think, could use a little bit of shifting and adjusting. And so I think this is a timely course, and I'm excited to get started. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys. And if somebody will nod their head that they can see that, we'll go ahead. Okay, perfect. Fantastic. So we're going to talk today about doing business abundantly and mindset. I will tell you, I'm not a certified psychologist. My sister is a doctor. She's a licensed psychologist. But I am a big believer that every city hall and every downtown, every community in this country needs a full-time psychologist on staff. And so I study a lot about how human behavior impacts the work that we do at the city level. And then, of course, with all the small businesses that we work with. I believe wholeheartedly that there's one factor and one factor only that determines a person's success, their happiness, the prosperity, and even the sustainability of whatever business they start or career path or journey they're along. It's one defining characteristic or viewpoint, and it's one currency that determines one's own fortune. And that is all about mindset. That is the one thing. It is your frame of mind and how you think, which also leads to how you act, that really determines your future and your success. Ever since I started researching the two different types of mindsets that we're going to talk about here today, and I'm going to admit, I get in a lot of trouble because I find myself, everyone I meet, I put in a box, in one of the two boxes. I guess sadly or strangely, everyone that has a particular type of mindset all belongs in the same box. They're my favorite type of people. And I have difficulty connecting with people that fit in the other box. And so that's a mindset shift that I have to work on, because I have to learn to be more welcoming and opening regardless of what people's mindsets are. And so I just want to caution you guys that hopefully when this is over, you do not make the same mistakes that I do and start putting people in boxes. But I did want to warn you about that before we got started. And just like mindsets are the one thing that influence everything, in my opinion, there's two types, and only two types of people. They go in those two boxes, and they have one of two mindsets. One is those who fundamentally believe that you will get yours by helping others get theirs, because there's plenty to go around, and the generous will do well. The other type of mindset or person that goes in the other box is those who fundamentally believe that they will get theirs by getting it before somebody else does, before the greedy guy does, right? We got to beat them to the punch. There's only so many pieces of pie and so much to go around. And so the bad guys will get to it first if I don't beat them. And that is what we're going to talk about today, is those two viewpoints. We're also going to be examining our beliefs, and hopefully you guys will be pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. Because if you want to be the best version of yourself, of your business, you really don't have any other choice to be outside of your comfort zone. When you think positive thoughts, when you practice, I didn't mean to switch that slide. Sorry about that. When you practice gratitude and are thankful, when you really work on the one growth mindset or an abundant mindset, and we'll talk about the terminology here later, you'll start to find that good things happen to you when you least expect it. I don't worry about a lot in the future because I try to be positive and to do good and to treat people the way that I want to be treated. And I just don't stress about the future a lot. And, that may be good or bad depending on who you are. But I've always believed that, everything will happen for a reason and I'll be taken care of because I take care of others. And that's one of the fundamental differences. But if we change our mindset, you can and you will, and I've seen it done, change your life. And so I hope you guys are ready to take this journey with me today. Let's go talk a little bit about entrepreneurs, for instance. Let's give you guys a little example of these two different types of mindsets. So one entrepreneur, they're both setting up in a market. It's highly saturated. They have similar business models. And the first one goes into opening up this new business, and he's not daunted by the challenge at all. He believes there's enough demand for everyone to do business comfortably, that success breeds success. He does his market research. He figures out what the niche is, and they launch their business. Another entrepreneur is a little worried going into it. He feels that he's not going to be able to get enough clients because they've already been taken by others. They find themselves complaining about the lack of opportunities, and they kind of go on the offensive and try to poach other people's clients or drum up business for themselves by going after someone else's business, if you want to put it that way. They also take shortcuts to push their services. So of those two people, and I know we're doing this virtually, but who do you think is going to succeed? I think it's a pretty obvious answer, right? The entrepreneur number one. There's an old saying, cheaters never prosper, right? And so we have to be kind. But those are all mindset views and thoughts and actions. Those are all based on where your head is at. Most of the successful people in the world, you got a lot of the multi-billionaires, a lot of big, high impact individuals, celebrities. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them have worked their way from the bottom up. They have overcome hardships and difficult times along their path to success. And there's many factors that contribute to that. Hard work, clear goals, a good team. Nobody can do it alone, right? My grandpa signs every letter he ever wrote me, WANEO, which means we all need each other. And so nobody does it alone. They also sometimes have pure luck. So luck sometimes plays into it. We can't help it. But from what I've observed, the thing that most successful business leaders who have come from nothing have in common, regardless of their circumstances, regardless of the size of their team or how hard they worked or how clearly articulated their goals were, or if they just came on it by luck, they all had that one thing in common. And that's one of two mindsets. It's the successful leaders who have come from nothing with an abundant mindset that makes them successful. They have a clear mission, and hard work can launch people to success, yes, but an intentional abundance mindset and can help sustain that success and really set you above the rest. So the opposite of abundance, and we're going to get really specific here in a moment. We're just kind of big picture in it still, but is those that fear competition and that worry about competition. And so a lot of people believe that competition is too great. It's really hurting my business. And this new business opened up and they're taking away from me. And I'm here to challenge that paradigm and tell you that I don't believe there is such a thing as competition in the business world. There may be winners or losers of a particular race or a particular contest or something like that. But When we believe that customers to our businesses are scarce, or that there's not enough, or there's only a limited supply, and that someone, my competitor, is going to take some from me, that's harmful to your business. And it's really not necessary, because you can create more customers. And yes, I know markets are indeed limited sometimes, right? But thinking that way, even though it's a reality, when our mind is focused on that reality, instead of being focused in an abundant manner as far as our competition goes, or our adjoining neighborly business communities, we are counterintuitive, because we almost always get more of any market we're in by living abundantly. Not by grabbing everything that we can up front, but by knowing that if we help others and we do our best and we work together to create a bigger pie instead of fighting over the existing pie, because you can always make a bigger pie, you're going to be a lot more successful in the long run. And so how do you work with your competition to make everyone more successful? We'll give you guys some examples here in a minute. So I mentioned that term abundance. And so those are one of the two types: abundant mindsets, living with abundance, an abundant heart. And an abundant mindset and abundance mentality is really a worldview that there are enough opportunities in this world for everyone to be a part of. I'm going to check the chat, and I'm not sure if y'all can see that. Oh, okay. I'm going to move this chat box off of the screen that you had. Sorry for just a small technical glitch, but wanted to get that taken care of. Okay. So abundance means we know there's enough and that we can always make more. And then I will always have what I need and be taken care of if I think positively. So somebody with an abundance mindset typically is very generous, and not just with money, but with their time, with their expertise, with their knowledge, with their friends, whatever it may be. And that generosity typically will breed success. Because success breeds success, and believing in others, contributing to your success and believing in their success really just multiplies and exponentially grows the abundance of the world around us. Abundant mindset people focus outwards. They're focused on the possibilities that life has to offer, and how they can help others and what they have to offer other people in this world. It's not just about them. It's really about the common good. People with an abundant mindset operate with that sense of gratitude. They are thankful for what they have, thankful for the people around them, thankful for the challenges and the opportunities. I used to tell my staff, if I didn't screw up at least once a day, I wasn't working hard enough. And so we all make mistakes, but those of us with an abundant mindset aren't scared to make a decision, because we will make a mistake. I make them every day. But we know that those mistakes make us better. And so we're not scared to make them. And we prefer collaboration, collective impact. There's a lot more gets done when we're all working together and rowing in the same direction. And we also look for ways to benefit others over ourselves. It's not typically just about me. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit here in a moment that, we all have abundant mindset eras and times, and some things we view with more abundance than others. And then we also all fall into the second type of mindset that we'll talk about here shortly. There's three major components to an abundance mindset, and I just want to kind of outline these for you guys. One is there is a belief that there's enough for everyone to share and succeed. And when I say enough for everyone, I mean enough of anything and everything you can think of. We believe that there are opportunities and endless possibilities for everyone. And we also believe that what we think and what we do will attract more of. You will all get what you want in life, and I will get what I want in life if we help each other. We all need each other. WANEO. I think Zig Ziglar says, you'll get all you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. And so it's that gift of service, service above self. So in business or in life, and a lot of these business tips that we're giving today apply to your personal lives too. And some of us don't know the difference, and that's okay sometimes, I guess. But when we cultivate an abundant mindset and we find our success, we often feel satisfaction. We're able to make better decisions, and we have sort of a compass. Our why, our purpose, is more clearly defined, and that enables us to make the right decisions because we have a frame of reference as to what to judge our decision making off of, right? Well, is this going to just benefit me? Is this going to hurt someone else? Or is this going to overall benefit everyone greatly? And so having that abundant mindset with that personal compass, that the world is so much bigger than what goes on right here in my life and what goes on right here in Smithfield, Texas, or what goes on in the Central Texas area in the United States. The world is huge. And so knowing that what I do, yes, affects people around me, will also have, long lasting impacts if we do the right things, because we can make a difference. We view things as win-win instead of win-lose. Talk about that competition. Wayne Dyer says abundance is not something we acquire. It's something we tune into. And so abundance is always there. Sometimes we just don't realize it. And so the second type of mindset, the opposite, is known as a scarcity mindset. A person with a scarcity mindset tends to look inwards on what is missing or lacking. They feel they are not enough, or that they don't have the same opportunities or resources needed to succeed. Individuals with a scarcity mindset tend to play the role of the victim and have really tense physical and emotional energies. And I know lots of folks can feel an energy in a room. I certainly can. And you can tell when someone is not comfortable, or they feel like, they are at a disadvantage. You can sense that energy in a room. But it's because of that focus on the negative that these scarcity-led mindsets typically lead individuals to stand in their own way of success. We are the problem. There's nothing else wrong going on here except for us, America, cities, countries, businesses. We are our own worst enemy. And so it's strange because while they're their own worst enemy, they focus on the negative, and they're in blocking their own personal growth and professional growth or business growth. But consequently, they also feel jealous, a lot of jealousy, a lot of resentment towards other people that are successful, that, new business owner, or that colleague that just won an award, and you don't really feel great when they do that. Feel a little resentful. Well, why did they get that and not me? And that's mainly because they feel that their successes and that their opportunities are taken away because someone else has them, because they're not viewing it with an abundant mindset. If you have an abundant mindset, that's great that so-and-so just won this award or landed that new client. There's more clients out there for me. I'm going to celebrate their success with them. And that's sort of the difference there. We're taught as children early on, everyone in this country, to have a scarcity mindset. We learn about scarcity, and I'm sure you guys have heard that term before, at a very young age, right? There's only so much of this, and you have to come to bed here, and you have to share because there's not more blocks. We learn about finite when we are little. It doesn't take us long to understand that everything comes to an end, right? It's a matter of time before our first pet dies, or, we graduate from grade school, and these things end. They're finite, right? They're not infinite. They're not abundant. But just because we know that, what I'm going to help you guys, or hope that you guys will understand when you leave here today, is that we don't have to bow down to the thoughts of finite or the negative connotations associated with things coming to an end, or there not being enough to go around physically. Because really, when we think about scarcity, all we need to do is know that we accept that we live in a world of limited resources, right? There is limited ozone in the sky. There is, a lot of limits in this world, limited water. We have very limited electricity here in Texas. And so those are definitely finite resources. And just because I think abundantly doesn't mean I'm not concerned about there not being enough electricity in this world. I just know that hopefully somebody I have been nice to will have electricity and a cool AC if it happens in the summer, right? So just because we know there's finite resources and we have an ingrained knowledge from the time we're little of this limited belief doesn't mean that we need to live or dwell in that fear of there not being enough, in that scarcity of not having what you need. We have to understand that scarcity is a mindset and everyone has it in them. I think scarcity sometimes, even though I know better, right? But we need to understand the mindset and why we have it to begin with. And the truth is that these beliefs and these thoughts and these facts have evolved from the time humans were cavemen and started walking this earth, right? Relying on hunting and gathering for our next meal. We were taught that most things come to an end and that there wasn't enough, right? We had to hunt and gather and, bring our food back to us because there was only so much. And so it's literally part of the human brain. There's nothing we can do about it. It will always be there. We just have to learn how to deal with it. Another limiting belief I want to mention for business owners, when you think about there not being enough business to go around or too much competition, I said it again, I just want to say it now in relation to scarcity, is that there are more than enough people to support all of our businesses throughout this world. Maybe not in their current makeup or their current setup, but there are enough people to support the people that are here on this earth, right? And so we have to look at creative ways to partner and restructure and, expand or, refocus our business efforts. We've got to find our people, those that think abundantly like you, and start looking through a lens of abundance instead of being in that scarcity mindset, focused on that scarcity. Some good news about scarcity is that it definitely has an upside. And if you learn to be grateful for what you have, instead of harboring those thoughts of jealousy and dissatisfaction, you will start to begin to do your bit to start creating that abundant thinking in your life. Scarcity can also lead to productivity. It can lead to action. Great toilet paper shortage 2020, right? That was a scarcity action. It sure made everybody pay attention. Go get the toilet paper. Time is definitely a finite resource and a scarce object. There's never enough of it in this world. And so, but as time runs out and deadlines get nearer, we tend to focus on what we're doing more, right? We get laser focused on finishing this presentation or laser focused on, turning in that report. Laser focused on, updating your window displays, whatever it is, because that scarcity of time is upon us. Sometimes it takes us getting outside of our comfort zone to do our best work. And when we're in that place of scarcity, when that time is running out or there's not enough, that's when innovation really occurs. We've seen that over the last 2 years, right? It's that fear that really inspires us to do differently. And we're going to talk about fear as it relates to our mindsets for just a minute. Annis Nin says that life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. My other favorite quote about courage is that courage is fear walking. I believe that fear is a good thing. Fear is the human body and mind's natural reaction to danger. It triggers us and alerts us that there is something that could harm us, that is dangerous. It is what we do with that fear that can impact us negatively or positively. Scarcity thinking provides a disguise for fear. When we rationalize our fears by claiming that we're being realistic, or that's impossible, or the competition is already doing that, it's just a disguise, that scarcity thinking of our fears. Fear of failure, fear of not being enough, whatever that fear is, whatever that danger is, danger of being hurt, of losing money, maybe of not having a roof over our head if our business fails. They're fears, they're real, but we shouldn't always run away from them or disguise them. We have to learn to embrace fear in a natural and healthy way. Humans have difficulty moving outside of their comfort zone or challenging established practices. Change is hard, right? Everybody who lives in a small town knows that. Attitudes that kept our ancestors safe when they were hunting and gathering, and are the same attitudes that now keep us small as humans, as business owners, as members of society, as citizens. They keep us small. Those same fears that there's not enough. Same fear that if I do something different, I may get hurt. Fear of not knowing, the unknown, that resistance to change. We tend to lean towards, all the time, the more modest, more reliable goals, smart goals, right? Achievable goals. We fail to dream big and be imaginative because those are the things that may hurt us more, right? Because we fear failure. We fear losing something or someone. We lose status, income, what partnerships, whatever it is, because we don't dream big enough and we don't understand that there is a finite amount of things out there or an infinite amount of resources out there and possibilities out there. And so when we lean towards smaller goals or stagnation, remaining the same, growth becomes even more difficult and more challenging because it's got a lot of resistance built up. That scarcity thinking that disguises that fear tricks us into holding on to small things, diverting our attention from more meaningful and purposeful and oftentimes more profitable and more innovative goals and work products every single time. And so I challenge you to learn to, first of all, recognize fear and then embrace it. And COVID-19 pandemic, fear. There are a lot of people out there not afraid of it, right? It's not going to hurt you. God has you. Fear is designed to protect us. We should be just a little bit afraid. We shouldn't let it control our lives or ruin it, but we have to be afraid of things that can harm us. And by not accepting that and embracing that, we avoid it and we say it doesn't exist. And so I want to challenge you guys to think differently about the fear that you embrace, because we don't need to run away from it. We don't need to view it with a sense of scarcity. We need to view it with an abundance, and that if we embrace it, we can turn that fear into anything. Let me just be real clear. Abundance thinking is not several things. It doesn't mean that I believe in magic, that if I just wish hard enough, great things will happen. If I, buy enough lottery tickets at 7-Eleven, I'll win the lottery. It's not something that allows just what you want or what you dream about to materialize without hard work and effort. Abundance thinking means that you have the mindset to see possibility where others see scarcity or insurmountable challenge. Abundant thinking does not mean just hoping for something to happen, just sitting by and waiting. It means changing our mindset in a way that allows us to see real opportunities and possibilities, to dream big and to dare differently, and then to put actions behind those things, and sometimes just a little bit of luck. Real. And I want to go, abundant thinking is not a magical thinking. It's not that I don't believe that I will, ever be harmed or that bad things don't happen to me on a regular basis. Trust me, it can go wrong in my life. It does, right? And the ideologies behind these mindsets, you cannot just ignore the facts or live in a dream world when you have an abundant mindset. You can't be unrealistic. And although some people do think like this, I argue that they're not really using abundance to its greatest extent when you ignore the facts or you're not thinking realistically. Because when abundant thinking is done right, it involves knowing that you will prevail in the end while being ultra frank with the facts of the current reality. And we've got to define the word prevail, right? And define success. There's an old paradox, I think it's the Stockdale paradox, that states that one must retain faith that they will prevail in the end while confronting the brutal facts of current reality. And so just because we know that we're going to be okay in the end doesn't mean that I'm not going to do things to protect my business or to diversify my business or to make my window displays look good or to protect myself in public, right? Even though I know I'm going to be okay in the end, I can't rely on just that abundant thoughts. I have to put action that supports the reality behind it. And so do you in your business decisions. And so scarcity and abundance. And hopefully you guys have a better understanding of both of those. But what mindset do you embody? And those with a scarcity mindset, as I said, tend to see winners and losers. I think there's only so much to go around. And if somebody else gets more, then they're going to naturally get less, right? It's a dog eat dog world. They hold on so tight to everything. They are tight-lipped. They don't share information or resources. Don't ever go out of their way for anybody else. But they believe that's how they will be more secure. That's how they will protect theirs. That's how they will be prosperous, right? Is by just focusing on themselves. They don't necessarily wish ill will on other people, of course not. It's just a way of thinking that they protect what they've worked so hard to earn and accumulate at all costs, right? Abundant mindsets, they see everything in win-win, as we said. They're unlimited resources and genuinely happy for other successes. Well-being for other achievements, when other cities get recognized, or other businesses or colleagues or neighbors, whatever it is. They love to see the good fortune of other people. And they know that celebrating that will help their good fortune in the future. They love to contribute to and celebrate accomplishments, throw parties, honor other people. And they also know that the better they do, the more success they generate. In the abundance way of thinking, we know there's plenty to go around. We'll always make pie. I win, you win, we all win, right? So let's do a little bit of exercise. Time to wake up. I've been going 30 minutes. Time for a break, okay? Let's think about two different situations. I want you guys, this will help really focus on which mindset you have more often. Because as I said, there's scarcity and abundance in all of our heads all of the time, right? It's just which ones do we gravitate to, or do we focus our efforts on pulling in to use? So two situations. Think about a time when things worked well for you versus a time when things didn't work out so well. Come up with those two things, right? Think about a future where you've accomplished, or where you're accomplished and successful, versus a future where you failed to achieve your goals. And so of those two, a time when things worked well versus a time for things didn't work out so well. And then think of a future, imagine a future where you're accomplished and successful, or imagine your future where you failed to achieve your goals. And as you formulate these thoughts in your head, depending on where you're leaning, is the thought process right now that the time that everything went great? Are you focusing on one of your failures? Are you dreaming that you're going to be, living in your cabin in the woods or cabin at the beach? Or are you worried that you won't, be able to retire when you want? And based on whichever one of those scenarios comes into your head, determines which mindset is predominant, which one is more prevalent, which situation do you find yourself dwelling on. If you tend to spend more time thinking about positive things, like what we've accomplished and been successful at in the future, or the things that have happened in the past that worked out really well, you're more likely to have an abundant mindset. If you're more worried about your failures and reflecting on the things that didn't go right, or what you won't accomplish, you most likely have a scarcity mindset that's leading the charge. Like I said, abundance and scarcity are everywhere, so we all have them both. But right now for you, one or the other is in the lead. So we've got a good idea of the opportunities and the benefits of positive thinking and abundant thinking, right? And we sort of know which way we lean if you just did that exercise with me. And I think it goes without saying why it's important as businesses to use abundant thinking and to work through an abundant lens as opposed to a scarce lens, right? But let's go into a little bit more detail about entrepreneurship and what the differences are in these two mindsets specifically applied to business and not just your personal life. So an entrepreneur with an abundant mindset is not limited by fears and doubts. They're open to new ideas, and they grab and seize all available opportunities that they have time for within reason. They also know how to say no. Due to their openness, such entrepreneurs typically have a huge, reliable support system and network because they help each other out. whether that's their professional colleagues, their local business community, whatever it may be. Abundant entrepreneurs typically have a large support system, a large network. They try to learn skills that are needed to tackle new challenges. So they're lifelong learners typically, and they always have a problem-solving approach. They don't just run away from a problem. Let's figure out how to fix it. They're also not afraid to ask for help. A scarcity mindset-led entrepreneur is driven by fear. There's not enough. When they see that they're lacking, it reduces their confidence and their will to work. Or they're too focused on blaming someone else for being better than them. They don't even realize that their mindset is drawn to what they're lacking because they try to avoid the fear and just focus on someone else's negativity. So a self-fulfilling prophecy almost always develops in a scarcity mindset entrepreneur. And that's where they meet the failure that they're doing the best to avoid. They don't embrace that fear every single time. So understanding the difference between abundance mindset and a scarcity mindset as it relates to entrepreneurship and businesses is our first step towards enhancing our business and to doing business abundantly, right? And to living life with abundance. It's not your circumstances that determine what kind of mindset you have. We all learn scarcity at a young age. We talked about that, right? It is our intention to adopt the right mindset that matters. And every morning you have to wake up with intention, because every morning there are things that just fill you with scarcity thoughts happening in this world, especially today, right? The key to abundance is meeting limited circumstances with unlimited thoughts. Quote by Marianne Williamson. So how do we get there, right? How do we change our paradigms? First of all, words matter. Replace the word competition with collaboration. Don't think of business expenses or costs. Think of them as investments. Incremental should be exponential. Transactional is transformational. Your industry or your profession really becomes your network and your family. Clients and customers become your partners. Products and services are no longer items, but they're the value that you provide to others. Employees become teammates. Status is defined through contributions and not checks on the board or marks on your belt. Lifestyle becomes freedom. Management becomes leadership. Retirement becomes purpose, and scarcity becomes abundance. Reframe your terminology. Use your imagination. Dream big, be creative. We did a retreat yesterday in Denison, Texas, and we had crowns and colors, and we did an imagination station, and we dreamed big and got creative. It's okay to go back to kindergarten. The human mind was designed to do that, right? And so be innovative. You have to think outside the box. Do whatever you need to do to get that creativity back. Be curious. Ask why. Why not? How can I make that happen? What can I change to get the results that we need? Go outside of your comfort zone in your box and get curious. Ask questions. Do different. Don't keep things to yourself. Don't be a hoarder of information or tight-lipped. When you keep secrets or you fail to give the knowledge and the resources that you have to others, you will have exactly what you've always had, the things you're protecting and keeping from others. You'll be anchored and stuck with more and more of the same until eventually the clock runs out and their chances of abundance really are lost forever. And so don't let the fear rule you. Give. I don't care who gets a copy of a report I finish or who downloads this presentation. We call it R&D in the Main Street world. It's called rip off and duplicate, because who cares? It doesn't matter if it's my original thought or not. I want someone else to use it and it can help them, right? Don't keep things to yourself. Surround yourself with abundant-minded influences. If you're around only those with a scarcity mindset, and it's funny because scarcity minded, and I said, I've got the boxes. When I walk in a room, I can put you in a box. And typically most people with scarcity mindset are hanging out with each other. There's a lot of complaining, moaning and groaning, talking bad about people. Try to surround yourself with positive thinking people that think abundantly, and intentionally do that when you can. And, you know, we obviously all have relationships that, you know, are in our lives for various reasons that we don't choose. So try to surround yourself when you can with people with different mindsets than you, if you have a scarcity mindset. I also challenge myself to hang out with people with an, if you have scarcity, hang out with abundant, obviously. I challenge myself to hang out with people with a scarcity mindset because I want to better understand them and I want to help them understand my view. So stop avoiding fear. Stop not embracing fear. Stop running away from your fear. Embrace the fear. Let go of the fear once it's been embraced, and don't let it hold you back anymore. Embrace it. Run with it. Courage is fear walking. Don't let fear stop you from trying new things and getting things done. When we use courage to embrace fear, we unlock opportunities and we're really allowed to make the most of limited resources and not hold ourselves back for any reason. Oprah Winfrey says, if you look at what you have in life, you will always have more. If you look at what you don't have in life, you'll never have enough. It's very difficult to feel fear or sadness when we are saying thanks, when we are gracious. Practicing gratitude and saying thank you is one of the most widely recognized methods for improving your overall well-being, but for also changing your mindset. So be intentionally grateful every day. Appreciate what you have. Appreciate what you don't have, because that makes us who we are, right? Think of a time that things went well and be thankful for them. One other fascinating thing about abundant mindset is that the more you share, the more you perceive to have for yourself. And we talked about not keeping secrets, but I also want to talk about specifically sharing and giving. Practice sharing your time, experience, knowledge, resources, and money with others. Just do it. Because every time you do, you will give more respect to them, and others will respect you and more in return. And you will also generate abundance in your life and in their life. Don't compare yourself to others and focus on meeting your own goals. If you win, that doesn't mean someone else is losing, and vice versa. Don't think of it as a competition, but as a collaboration where everybody benefits. It's collective impact when we all work together. Focus on the good, not the bad. Oh, that person drives me crazy, but what can I think of that's wonderful about them, right? How can you focus on the positive elements of a situation? The next time you find yourself in a difficult situation or you find scarcity leading your mindset, sit back and try to look at the bigger picture. Think about what is going right and pay attention to it. The more you focus on the right, the more you invite opportunities and possibilities and abundance into your business and your life. An abundant mindset allows you to see more in life, more options, more choices, more resources. It turns the cans, the cannots into cans. And so to get there, you have to stop saying, I can't, or she won't, or we don't. We say, why not? What if? How could we? What do we? That is how you switch from a scarcity to abundant-led mindset. Of course, you always make a bigger pie, right? There's something you're fighting over, there's not enough. How do we work together to make more? Turn your yeses into nos, as I said, and change. Don't be afraid of change. Change hurts sometimes. And I'm not saying living with abundance doesn't mean we get hurt, but don't be afraid of it. Embrace change. Be a leader of change. Talk about change and things that are diverse and different than you. And that is how you can take your business from a place of scarcity to hopefully doing it abundantly. I'm happy to answer any questions y'all may have. My contact information is on the screen. If you have questions or thoughts after this presentation, whenever you're watching it, feel free to email me or reach out to me on LinkedIn or call me. And as long as you're not watching it at 3 a.m. April says lots of folks are watching it at 3 a.m., but I'm just kidding.
Thank you, Sarah. It might be Linda that's watching it at 3 a.m. since she's getting up to do all that work at 4:30 in the morning. Sarah, I loved your slides. They're wonderful. And I love what you had to say. And I can also see this as a very useful tool. I'm going to encourage my staff to watch this video and to be thinking about their mindsets. If you have any other resources, worksheets or something like that, that we can get them to practice, because it seems like changing one's mindset, it's easy to say, oh, I can do this, I can think this, but sometimes it's harder to get the mind and the heart connected.
And it's an ongoing process. And Judy, I've got a whole folder of stuff. I've spoken on this topic quite a bit, so we'll get together and get you guys some resources.
Great, thank you. And if any of them are available online, I don't know if the chamber is able to link them with the recorded version of this class. I think that would be cool.
Cool.
Okay. Are there, I don't see any questions in the chat. Is there any questions anybody has that's on? I just got a nice compliment on what a great job you did, Sarah.
And you did. And thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing your mindset and your outlook. We really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. This has been a lot of fun. So, and I know you guys still have more training classes to go, so everybody needs to log on and watch all the great content. And we're always improving.
And again, we're grateful to the Smithville Area Chamber of Commerce for helping make this available to the public. Thank you.
Thank you and have a great day.